BMW is known for the driving experience. Whether you're buying a luxurious tourer or a high-performance sports car, the car will be well built and fun to drive. But not all of us can afford that experience, as BMWs aren't exactly cheap new. Even a bottom-end 3 Series is close to $40,000. So what are your options if you really like the brand? Pre-owned. Now for a pre-owned car to be cheap, it has to not fall apart every few weeks. In other words, you need something reliable. So what is the most reliable BMW you can buy, which will last you for many years to come? But before we get into it, remember to like and subscribe, and if you enjoy this type of content, I have more videos just like this linked in the description and more car content on my channel. Please go and check it out after the video. Enough plugging, let's get into the video. So BMW Cross uses older engines, so technically all the BMWs with this engine in will be quite reliable. So drum roll. The N52 B25 and N52 B30 are both great engines that can last practically forever. You can find this engine in the 25i, 28i and 30i, and most people tend to buy the 3 Series because they are good overall. I've seen multiple 330i's that have over 280,000 kilometers, which is over 175,000 miles. And yes, I know your dad's Volvo had 733,000 miles and never broke. BMWs break, and they break because of all the fancy shit they use. Remember, the more features you have, the more stuff tend to break. That's why older cars last way longer than newer cars. They only had one job, get from point A to point B. Now we want the cars to be powerful, yet light on fuel. They must be comfortable, but also handle well. We want all the technology and fancy features, but complain if the car is unreliable. Remember, the more sensors and computers and stuff you have, the more points of failure there are. But let's say you buy a 330i. It actually has a fun and powerful engine. I mean, they make around 260 horsepower, and you can reach 60 in like 5.5 seconds. And you can pick one up for next to nothing. So you get a hell of a lot of car for a seriously cheap price. And they're gonna last quite a while. If you look online, some of them, like I said, over 280,000 Ks. I've seen one that had 500,000 Ks on the clock and was still driving. But unfortunately, like most BMWs, it has a few problems. And the first one is quite common among BMWs, VANOS. Like almost all BMWs, after 1990s, the N52 has VANOS, which means it has VANOS solenoid problems. Any BMW with VANOS has issues. So this isn't a problem only found in the N52, rather a problem found in most BMWs, and like most other BMWs, it has water pump and thermostat issues as well, and the valve cover gasket tends to leak, which is also quite common among BMWs. Now you might think, that's a shit ton of problems, why would you say this car is reliable? By BMW standards, that's very reliable. The N54 chows fuel pumps for breakfast, and the old M3 cracked subframes. Let's just say BMWs are great, but they all have some issues. And secondly, if you just look after the N52 and make sure to service it, and when a part fails to replace it, it will last you forever. If you buy it and treat it like poo-poo, it's gonna treat you like poo-poo. So, if you are on a tight budget and you want a BMW and you want something reliable, the E90 or E92 330i is the car for you. It's quite a niche market. All jokes aside, many people that bought newer BMWs are going back to the N52 because the newer turbocharged engines just have more problems. The amount of BMWs with rod knock or timing chain issues, even wastegate issues, is crazy. The newer engines just don't last as long. The N52 is old and probably less economical, but you will die before the car does. That's how strong they are. And trust me, once you've driven a BMW, you'll never want to drive anything else. The experience, even in the slower BMWs, is still amazing. But if you guys enjoyed the video or find it informative, please leave a like and subscribe to the channel, or check you guys in the next one. Cheers, hi.
Hold me close till I get up. Time is barely